know what it is. You're not tuned into another episode of Everybody Has a Voice podcast. Brought to you live from Funk Boy Studios. Sponsored by Baby's Barbecue. It's your boy Wall Street. Today, I got a special guest in the building. I got none other than Detroit's own Mr. Marvin Cotton Jr. in the building.
What's up, man? I'm honored to be here. Last time we saw each other, it was a lot different than sitting on a podcast studio.
Man, last time we saw each other was a whole lot different than sitting on this podcast studio, and I want to get into that a little bit. But first, I want to thank you for coming on my platform because I know you're a busy man. I know you got a lot going on.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be here.
But, of course, my high school girlfriend is your cousin. So, we knew each other from a distance. We meet under unfortunate circumstances in Bellamy Creek Prison in Ionia, Michigan.
Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility.
Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility. And at that point when we met in Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility, we was already on two different paths. You were on the path you on now, and I didn't understand it at the point in time because I was still 1,000% knucklehead at the time. And I'm sure you could attest to that.
Yeah.
Because it was like, basically, with all due respect, get the fuck away from me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But I knew you had a life sentence.
Yeah. A natural life sentence.
A natural life sentence.
Yeah.
Which means death. And a lot of people don't understand that. Man, you understand that because, man, you've been inside those dismal crypts, if you want to call that, and we understand that a natural life sentence means a natural life sentence.
Yeah.
But somehow you was resilient. Somehow you stayed focused. Somehow you stayed determined. And here you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I'm honored to be here. I remember you, from back in the day. You was definitely in the streets and happy to be in the streets and to be on your show right now, your own podcast and just seeing the amazing work that you're doing. I've watched some of your other interviews, and like I said, I'm honored to be here, man. You know, you are a testament that a person, no matter where they come from or where they start at, they can actually do something completely different.
For sure,
and
man.
I honor you for that.
For sure, man. And that's just the message I want to bring with both of my platforms, with Everybody Has a Voice and My Fair Vacation. But I still got to, get my shock out for a minute because, like I say, you had a life sentence.
Yeah.
So the last I seen you was maybe 2006.
Yeah, somewhere around up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I come home, I get a fair case. I go do 15 more years. So, in the back of my mind, you kind of was just a memory. I wouldn't forget you if I seen you, but I had long forgot about Marv X, what I know you as at the time. You know what I'm saying? So I come home and I'm out in the street trying to find my way, and I run into Jaja. And she's like, I see what you got going on. Do you know Marvin Cotton? And I'm like, nah. And she like, oh, I want to give you an Instagram. And when she gave me the Instagram and I see who it was, I said, what? I said, that's Marv. I said, how he, and it just was, I was blown. You know what I mean? I instantly DM'd you like, man, and
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
she solid. Zaza, she solid people, man. And she great at her craft, too. She good at what she do.
She actually gave me a flame, man, that ignited me to help me with the path I'm on today and to stay on the path I'm on today. And I actually DM'd her last night, and she's coming on the show.
Wow.
She's coming on the show.
Wow.
So that's going to be like a full circle moment.
That's going to be a co-host type of situation because that's the energy she got.
And that's what I'm looking for.
She going to bring the energy.
And that's what I'm looking for, man. So, you got a long journey, man, a very powerful journey, man. And this Everybody Has a Voice, man. And I kind of strategically pick my guests about who voice I feel need to be heard. And I think your voice definitely needs to be heard. So, man, with your voice, man, on my platform, man, bless the people, man, and let them know who Marvin Cotton Jr. is, man.
Thank you again. My name is Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr.
Oh.
And, and as he said, a little bit about my story. I did 19 years, 7 months, 12 days in prison for a crime that I did not commit.
Hold on. I don't even use this effect on this show, but let me make sure. Let me see if I got the right effect. That deserves some applause. Dr. Marvin Cotton. You know what I
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said earlier, I had a natural life sentence without the possibility of parole. So I spent that nearly 20 years fighting to prove my innocence. I was exonerated a little over 4 years ago, and I got out of prison and I went straight to work. And what I mean by that is I knew that I wanted to be all that I had found myself to be while I was in prison. As he said, when we ran into each other again in prison, I still seen the streets in them. You know, no disrespect. I seen the streets in you. I seen that you still had it in your system, and you was ready to get out and get back to it.
And get another indictment like I did.
So my goal when I was in prison, when I came in contact with younger brothers and older brothers, was to try to have some sort of impact and kind of change or hopefully change their life. But when they had it in them too much and they had their mind made up, you got to let people learn.
Stiff arms.
and the fight that I had ahead of me with trying to come from up under a natural life sentence, you have to have the type of focus to where you can't let anybody pull you down or drag you down or you get distracted by prison stuff. Because prison will distract you because there's so much going on in there. And I spent 20 years of my life, staying focused in the midst of violence, staying focused in the midst of all of the predatory behavior that goes on in them type of environments, staying focused, undergoing lack, because your peoples don't always have it to send to you. So it's tight in there, and it's tight on most people that's in there. So it's so much going on in prison that you got to have a certain mind state and a certain mentality to even stay focused on something like getting a natural life sentence off of your back. And that's what I did. I used that as an opportunity to grow, to read a lot of books. I read over 2,000 books, wrote several books while I was in there, wrote thousands of letters, a lot of which to get my freedom. I wrote every organization you can think of. And when I got out of prison, I wanted to, bring the same type of energy. And I didn't waste no time. I got involved immediately. I started volunteering my time with different organizations, learning how this new world worked, because it was new to me. So I was learning how this new world worked by participating and volunteering with different organizations until I started founding and leading organizations. And I'm doing what I love to do. I'm doing what I know I was born to do.
Man, and you're doing an exceptional job of it. Like, you got so many hats, like author, motivational speaker, like justice advocate. Like, I mean, I can go on and on. I think you got nominated for Michigan State Representative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I ran for office in 2022. I ran for state rep in the 11th House District, which is part of the east side of Detroit, Harper Woods, and about 80% of St. Clair Shores. So I ran for office there. I wanted to be in a position to serve people in a legislative way. We cry about laws. We cry about not being represented there. We cry about not having a voice there. So I strapped them on and I ran for office. Now, although I didn't win, it was definitely a growing opportunity. And it was like a baptism by fire, because when you run for office, man, it's like hard work. It's not easy what you see on TV. It's not all of that. You're going to do a lot of walking, a lot of knocking on doors, a lot of people rejecting you and talking bad to you. You hear a lot of stories. You hear a lot of people fears. You hear their aspirations. You hear all of the stories. You hear a lot of beautiful things. People get you lemonade and stuff to drink. So you got the beautiful part. You got people pulling guns on you, telling you to get off their doorstep. So you got a little bit of everything when you're running for office, and it's not an easy thing to do. But I dived in head first, and I did a great job at it, I believe. I built a nice team, and it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, running for office, for sure.
So from where you're at today, like, that's a long way from Chicago and Myers.
Absolutely. Grew up on Myers. Right now, that area is the most violent area in the state of Michigan.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's the number one.
That area code is still 48204, right?
Yeah, you got from Manor going east is 48204, and then from Myers going towards Greenfield is 48227. So I was 48227, but they both the same neighborhoods. And the second precinct, the second police precinct right there on Grand River and Schaefer is the most violent precinct in the state of Michigan. So that's why I focus a lot of my attention over there in the neighborhood. try to help bring those numbers down, do a lot of mentoring over there, interacting with not only people that I grew up with, but as well as people that's new to that area.
So I don't know about the crime that you was falsely convicted of. Does it come from that area in that neighborhood also?
No, no, not at all. I was wrongfully convicted of first degree murder and felony firearm. That's what I was convicted of, and that's what I was exonerated from.
So from that point that you convicted to the point that me and you run into each other in Bellamy Creek, like,
Yeah. I think by the time we ran into each other, I had been locked up maybe 4 years, something like that. So like 3, 4 years.
knowing you were innocent, what guided you and kept your faith and kept you laser sharp focused to know I got to do this because I'm innocent, I got to get out of here? Because you're a testament, and I can sit here and say this, it's a lot of innocent brothers in prison.
Absolutely. We all know of cases where we know that the person that's locked up is not the person that did it. Whether you in the streets, whether you have inside information, we all know people that's locked up for stuff they did not do, didn't have anything to do with. But they in there, and,
For sure.
and in some cases, we know the person that actually did it.
For sure.
While the innocent person is sitting in prison. So innocent people being in prison, that's not some myth or something that's not true.
Not at all.
But what kept me focused is, number one, my faith, because it was many times throughout those years, really most of the time, I felt the weariness and the weakness of having this overwhelming situation on my shoulders most of the time. So my faith in God and relying on a higher power, a force that I knew was carrying me through that, was the thing that kept me strong. Next to that would be my daughter. My daughter was 2.5 when I was arrested, and getting back to my daughter's life was so important. I did not want to die in prison where my daughter, only thing she remembers is that her father, she loved him, and he was in prison. She don't remember me before prison. All she remembers is the blues. She was 2.5. That's all she remembers, growing up seeing me in blues on visits. So getting back to my daughter was a driving force. It kept me motivated on days that I didn't have it in me to push forward. It kept me motivated. And next to that is I didn't want corruption in these detectives that had set me up. I did not want the ideal of them winning after doing all that they had done. Kept me going too. And that made me want to grow, because it was obvious that they were smarter than me, because they were able to do this. And clearly you've been doing this because you're too good at it.
But you're doing it to motherfuckers who are less intelligent.
Absolutely. So I made a commitment to myself that I was going to grow.
Right try, wrong guy.
And I started reading. I started studying. I started really, from a spiritual standpoint, a mental, emotional standpoint. I tried to turn myself into a weapon that a system can't do that to.
And that's what type of mode you was in when I came to your cell. It was books everywhere. You just working out looking like Christ. I said, I'm getting the fuck away from him. He on something else. He got a life sentence. I'm getting the fuck away from him.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back into my workout now, but it's not going as well as it was going back then.
I just seen you on Instagram. So that was a fake clip? You was posting it like you?
No, I work out almost every day.
You go.
Yeah. I used to be able to go. I'm 45 now.
I'm 40. But I know how I go, because I used to go, and I lost it all the way.
I wake up hurting for no reason.
For sure.
So, 45 is real.
For sure. The 80s, late 70s shit is starting to kick in.
Yeah.
So, you were wrongly convicted. How many years did you do before you was exonerated?
19 years, 7 months, 12 days. And the last 2.5 years, 3 years were probably the hardest. I was locked up when I was 21 years old, and I was convicted when I was 21. I was supposed to be sentenced on my 22nd birthday, but something happened and it got pushed back for whatever reason, and I got sentenced a week after my 22nd birthday. So I spent all of my 20s locked up. I spent all of my 30s, and as my 40th birthday was approaching, man, that hurted so bad. because I was entering a new decade, and it hurted so bad. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm seeing the gray hairs, and you know you can't reverse or get none of that back. You can't go backwards to get any of that back. So turning 40 in prison, it hurted. And I was exonerated a month before I turned 41 years old. So when I see young people or even older people that think that they go on too far in their life to where they can't build a life to be proud of, I let them know I started rebuilding my life a month before I turned 41. A month before I turned 41. And I don't have no breaks.
For sure. For sure. But I gotta say something, man, because you just took me somewhere else, man, and I can't get this out. Like, I can't let this sit with me. Like, y'all don't understand what that man just said. Like, he spent his whole 20s in prison, his whole 30s in prison, and I can attest to that because I spent half of my 20s in prison, my whole 30s in prison, and watch every gray hair come in. And my saving grace was I knew I had an outdate. So I can watch that calendar. I knew I had an outdate. I knew they couldn't keep me past this date. Your outdate was natural life.
Yeah. But throughout the process, in my mind, every appeal, I'm going home. So that's what my calendar looked like. My calendar looked like every appeal.
Every dude with life in prison has that same mind state. Even the ones that ain't in the law library doing the work.
Right.
I'm sure you think that.
True.
Every lifer is I'm going home, or when we get out, or when we get out on the other side.
Yeah.
And I understand you saying, I understand that you doing what you got to do mentally to get through your bit, but you ain't even doing the work.
Yeah.
You did the work.
Yeah. A lot of the innocent guys that I know that have been exonerated put the work in too. They were in the law library all the time. They were reaching at different organizations. They were trying to, find a way to discover truth in their cases. Like, they worked hard. But you also have those innocent people that's in prison that don't have the mental capacity or emotional capacity to even participate in the process. We see them in the med line. We see them taking the meds that have put them in an even worse position.
That's a whole
to fight for their freedom. Yeah.
Another demographic of shit, bro.
Yeah.
And you know that, and I know that, and that's something like, because the work that me and you both trying to do, it's never ending.
Yeah.
Because there's so many tentacles of that shit, like mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health is real, and in prison.
Yeah.
I remember I had a schizophrenic cellie at Bellamy Creek when we was in there.
Yeah, I've had several, and that's a lot of people look at my life and they look at the lost time, but okay, let's look at the lost time, but let's look at what happened in that time. I've had bunkies that was not even safe to be around themselves, and you locked in a cell with them. They don't want to get in the shower. They're jumping up out their sleep. They're walking back and forth in the cell. It can get physical in there where you're fighting with somebody with superhuman strength. And those are just some of the things you go through while you're in prison, but to be wrongfully in prison and dealing with something like that, to be dealing with the loss of family members, people dying, you don't get a chance to say goodbye. New family members being born, you don't get a chance to say hello. You don't never get a chance to establish that bond. People you've had bonds with, the circumstance is so straining that it tears a lot of those bonds apart.
You taking me somewhere I never went on my show, My Fair Vacation. These feelings never came up because that shit is real. And it's a scar that's gonna always be there.
Yeah, talking about it is therapeutic for me. I have to talk about it. I have to tell, and people don't know. They don't know that we've seen so much blood in prison that we numb to it now.
Don't make no sense.
That we will sit in the chow hall or the kitchen where everybody eat at, and somebody might get their head bust open or stabbed in there, and it's blood everywhere. But you still got to eat your food so that you won't be hungry
later on
in the evening, because you're not going to have another opportunity to eat. So you almost get used to it in a way to where now when you're free, you're trying to find a way to become human again, because you've turned off so many of those switches that make us human. We've turned so many of them off because we had to. But society needs to know this. Lawmakers need to know this. Mental health professionals need to know this, because most people that have gone to school and have the type of backgrounds that put them in these positions to make decisions never have gone through anything like that. But they're putting band-aids on things that they need to do surgery on.
For sure.
So we have an obligation to talk about those things.
For sure. Because people don't even understand that. I'm sure you suffer from it just like I do. I'm post PTSD.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Post-traumatic prison disorder, however you want to call it.
Yeah, try watching your back for 20 years to where you have to make sure that you got a wall on your back so that you can surveil this room of strangers that may have a motive. Or I've seen guys get stabbed, multiple people get stabbed, and it be the wrong person.
For sure.
Where somebody stabbed the wrong person, thinking that they were someone else. Or stabbed someone because
somebody else did.
They brushed into them, and they thought that they did it on purpose when they didn't even notice you. Or you're working out with somebody that owes them money, so they stab you because they can't catch up with him. I've seen so much in prison that prison creates the type of mindset to where you always on guard, and then you walk out of prison into a softer society. And it just don't turn back on like a switch, or turn off like a switch.
And people think you weird or desensitized.
Yeah.
And
absolutely,
I've been through
it's trauma.
Much.
It's trauma.
I'm traumatized.
It's absolute trauma.
But we both here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna use this quote. It might be cliche. We both here. Better and not broken.
Absolutely.
We both here. Better and not broken.
And better not broken is a process. It's a process. It's not a destination. It's a process.
So you walked out of that prison after 19 years, and you knew it was work that had to be done. Yeah. What was the first order of business?
Making sure that I was in an environment where I can think. I didn't want to be under anybody else's roof or anything like that, so I got me a little motel room, and I stayed there. It was my first 34 days in a motel. I needed my own space. I didn't want to have any quirks or anything that people thought was weird. So I just wanted to kind of be by myself, so that, because I didn't want, I've heard so many stories being in prison when guys get out, how they family looking at them, how they friends looking at them, stuff like that. And I didn't want to subject myself to that. And then I wanted my own space so I could have my own, movements.
The state don't push you guys to a halfway house no more, do they?
Well, when you exonerated, you don't have any access.
Yeah, because it's
that.
just, I'm free.
Absolutely.
I'm fresh out.
The state has no holds on you in no way, and they cut you loose, and it's like, all right, get up out of here. And I walked out of prison two hours after my court date on Zoom. My court was on Zoom. 2 hours later, I walked right out the front door.
But I'm sure you were somewhat prepared. Me knowing you was somewhere. You knew you was about to go.
I got out in 2020. I've been prepared since 2004.
For sure.
I was ready. I had business plans wrote up and everything.
Yeah, all the books packed up in that cell.
Right. I've been working on business plans and sharpening and preparing myself for what I'm doing now. Back in the early 2000s, I didn't know I would be in prison this long. I thought that the truth would eventually set me free a lot earlier than it did, but I've been preparing myself since the early 2000s to do what I'm doing. Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr. is no accident. This ain't just happened. Then nobody put me on or make me lit. I've been working at this diligently, studying and building myself to this point before I even walked out of prison.
Yeah. Do the work. It's a testament of it.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do the work. Nah, I spoke on Better Not Broken.
Yeah.
Give everybody a little bit of that.
Well, Better Not Broken is a book I dropped a couple of years ago. It's a bestseller. You can find it on Amazon. Better Not Broken is a self-help book, but I wrote it almost like an autobiography through my eyes, because I wanted everybody to read it. I wanted them to feel the process that going to prison put you through, or my wrongful imprisonment. But I wrote it in a way that no matter what you're going through in life, you can I identified the principles in order to get over no matter what it is you're going through. So it's a self-help book that I think is good for anyone. If you're going through something that you don't deserve to go through, or if you're going through something that just happens to everyday people, people always ask me, how did you get through it?
I was going to ask you that.
I put it in a book. I put it in a book how I got through it, and I actually show, and it's interactive. It's interactive in between each chapters. I'm asking questions to get people in the mind frame that I believe is a key to unlock their power within. Not the key, but a key.
And it's also a LLC or a foundation or something. From my
Better Not Broken LLC. That's where I do my motivational speaking. I release my books under that. From that LLC as well. I also do some contract work under that LLC as well, but it's all dealing with individual development as well as community development.
Nation Outside. Now, one of my cousins had turned me on to Nation Outside and said he felt that I might be a good fit for Nation Outside, and I went through the meetings and everything, had Zoom meetings with a couple of the representatives, and they, Marvin Cotton, remember I reached out to you about that, but give everybody a little bit about Nation Outside.
Nation Outside is a beautiful organization, and I was the Detroit coordinator for Nation Outside for about a year and a half. I'm not right now, but, Nation Outside is something that's still really dear to me. They do a lot of policy work. They're a policy-heavy organization. They are one of the nonprofits that keep returning citizens out front. That which they know we're going to face if you've been directly impacted by the criminal justice system, they're fighting for housing to make sure that we're not discriminated against. Because, none of us should have to live in our auntie basement forever. You get out of prison, now you have to live with someone because people can choose not to rent to you. So they fight for issues.
That's the challenges I face myself personally.
Yeah. See,
because of my background.
And that's why you'd be a perfect voice to give voice to those issues. A lot of people don't even know we face that. But I think everybody should have the ability to live out the best quality of their life. Anything that steps in somebody's way of living the best quality of their life when they're doing the right thing, I think is wrong. And we have to have people to help figure out that, But Nation Outside is one of those organizations that figure it out. It's a lot of good people there. I've met a lot of lifelong friends there.
Damon John, entrepreneur of impact.
Absolutely. Best known from his seat on Shark Tank.
Or owner of FUBU.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest brands that we've seen in our lifetime.
From our color.
He has a competition, for lack of better words, and I am in the running for this competition where he's doing a one-on-one mentoring session, which is priceless. How can you even put a value on that?
For sure.
$25,000 and an opportunity to be featured in Forbes magazine. I think any one of those things by themselves are priceless.
Exactly.
And I'm in the running. Voting starts on the 20th, January 20th at 11 a.m. I don't have the link for that yet, but I will have it soon. I'm going to be pushing it on all platforms, and of course, I'm going to text it to you as well.
It's going to be in this interview. The link going to be in the bio of this interview.
Now, it's called Entrepreneur of Impact. I believe I am an entrepreneur of impact. I believe what I do have impact in the lives of many. I travel the country doing this work. I do trainings at police facilities with their new cadets where they have to take a wrongful conviction class, and I've impacted thousands of new police officers, young police officers, with my story and what happened to me and how I think that they should interact with human beings that look like me and those that don't look like me as well. So I think that what I do impact a lot of people around the country. And there's going to be a lot of good men and women from around the country that's participating in this competition. So I got to bring the heat. Nothing personal, but trying to come off on top.
You definitely got my vote, man, and everybody on the staff, everybody has a voice, man. You definitely got our voice. I
appreciate that.
Now, it's something else that I don't really know too much about, but I think it has, because I don't even know who the police commissioner is. I thought James Craig was the police commissioner. I could be wrong, but Second Look Sentencing Act, something with the police department. Can you give me a little bit about that?
Well, the police chief right now is Todd Bettison. He's the interim police chief. Most likely, probably will be the police chief. He's a great guy. He was the deputy mayor up under Duggan, and he went to fulfill this role because he has a law enforcement background. He's a really good guy. He's a community guy. He loves community organizations that's doing stuff for people. So I think he'd be perfect to help take the police force to a whole nother level when it comes to interacting with the community. But a police commissioner, they are supervisors of the police department, but they're civilian. So they're not police officers. They're civilian, and they supervise from the chief on down. And a really good friend of mine is actually the chairman of the Detroit Police Commissioners. His name Durrell Woods Sr., and he did 29 years in prison.
Oh, and that's the dude I seen. So I didn't.
Absolutely.
Even know. I thought he was a police commissioner. So I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's the chairman of the police commission. A really good guy. Did 29 years.
That's dope right there. That's dope.
Commutation, and he got out and he went straight to work. He was doing the work in prison as well. So it made it easy for him to do what he's doing right now because all he do is help people, and he's in a role that I think the citizens of the city of Detroit should really appreciate. But when it comes to second look, that we've been pushing and we've been unsuccessful so far, is an opportunity for those that have done a lot of time in prison to have a judge to be able to take a second look at their sentence, to give them an opportunity to get out if they've been doing what they're supposed to do, if they've taken programs, if they've taken steps, for lack of better words, redemptive steps, to give them a second opportunity to live their life.
Man, that's definitely needed in the community, man. I don't like this work is never ending. I can't stay it. I don't think people even know the ramifications of how much this work is needed.
But let me add this to that. A lot of the things that we fight for that are very heavy lifts, very heavy, because there's not a lot of us that's fighting for it. But those of us that have suffered under it to where we would have benefited from it, or people that we love would benefit from it, if all of us just put a finger in, the lifting is going to be a lot lighter. So if you've ever been to prison before, if you ever just been convicted of something and not been to prison, been on probation, or you have a loved one, a son, a daughter, a cousin, a nephew, anybody that's been directly impacted by the criminal justice system, these issues, you have to get involved. You don't have to be the person that's on the front line, but showing up to some of these meetings, figuring out, hey, how can I make a $50 donation? How can I make a $25 donation to some of these organizations that's on the front line when it comes time to voting? When you see your politicians and come in looking for your vote, say, hey, listen, I got a nephew that's in prison. How do you feel about prison reform? Start putting these things on your list of things that you're interested in, and it will make the heavy lifting that we're doing a lot lighter. And don't think that it don't matter. Trust me, it matters, because these very important meetings.
It definitely matters.
These very, very important meetings, it'd be 5 people in the room when everybody.
And that's why the shit the way it is now.
Absolutely. It'd be 5 people in the room. You go to the Detroit City Council meetings, you have a few people in the room where it's open to the public. And they're passing.
But that's why that's the way it is now. Nobody speaks about
Absolutely.
these issues. And a lot of people are naive to the issue because they don't know. Because there's not a lot of us, me and you, speaking about the issues for people to really know what's going on.
And you don't have to know everything. You can sit there and just listen. You get a little time to take an hour, 2 hours, go down there and just listen. Just listen. Your heart will tell you what you're supposed to say. Because you're going to say, hold up, this don't sound right.
You're going to know this shit wrong. You're going to know this shit wrong.
Absolutely.
Man, but like, this platform is everybody has a voice. And in closing, I'll always ask my guests, what do they want to use their voice for on our platform? But you just said a lot. But in closing, is there anything else that Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr. want to use his voice for?
I think that words are very powerful. That's why I appreciate even the title of your platform. Words are powerful. You can save a life with your words. That's how we trade information. That's how we give people information. If we have something on our mind, on our heart, we use our voice and our words in order to either save a life. We see on social media people use their voices to bring people down, chip away at them, to convey negative message. So if I can use my voice for anything right now, I'm in the process of dropping. I'm in the process of dropping my next book. My next book is entitled "Let There Be Light," and the subtitle is "Envy, Jealousy, and Hate is a Natural Consequence of Greatness." Because we living in a society where there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of people that are using those negative forces to bring people down.
sure.
And I want to give people
Definitely.
a shield
That's
and a way to fight against
that.
fight
Dinner
against
has
that.
become a culture now.
Oh, absolutely.
That dinner has become a culture. So anybody looking to get your book Better Broken, give everybody where they can get your book at. Anybody, anything you got coming up, anybody you want to shout out.
Absolutely. Better Not Broken. You can find it on Amazon. You can put Better Not Broken in there. You can put Marvin Cotton Jr. on there, and it's going to show up. It's an Amazon bestseller, so you can find it there. And, support. Read it. I guarantee you will not be disappointed.
Again, man, I definitely, man, on behalf of the whole Everybody Has a Voice staff, man, we definitely appreciate you, man, for coming through, blessing the platform, man, and it's work to be done, man. I look forward to doing work with you in the future, man. Here you have it, man. Everybody Has a Voice, man. Episode with Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr., man. Here we go.